Hi, my name is Kyle Kunkel, and I know things about technology. Today, I'm going to talk about how to use Google Forms in Google Classroom, specifically looking at creating questions, creating sections, and messing with settings in order to get individual results. So the first thing that you want to do is go to your Google Classroom classwork page with your teacher email, which for me is kyle@blankoriveracademy.com. Click on Create and assignment, quiz assignment, material, whatever you want to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and click Material. This is going to be the Google Forms test. So that's my title. You can add a description if you would like. I want this to be under Unit 2. So make sure to select the topic over here. And then we're going to go ahead and create a forms. So that is the Google Forms that we'll create, and it will automatically open up in a new tab to our form. So we'll go ahead and give this a title, and a very original title that it is. And now we can go ahead and add some questions. So I'm going to kind of start off with a cool question. And you have so many options here. So you can add questions, import questions, add a title and a description, add an image, add a video, add a section, right? So when would you use these? So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and add a title description first and above question 1. And this is going to say, just simply going to say, watch this video first. So that way we can see what a title card looks like. If you don't want a question, you can always click trash, and now it's gone. The next thing that I want to create is add a video. So we can just go ahead and search up any cool YouTube video, like what is a variable, from this cool company called Encode Technologies. Haven't heard of them, kind of new. But I hear they do cool stuff about coding and technology. So might as well put that into our Google form. So yeah, go to YouTube, get a YouTube link, paste it here, so that way you can find the video. And then this searches for the video. You can click select, and then it automatically embeds it. And then I probably want to put what the title of the variable, what the title of the video is, which is what is a variable. So we have our title card, we have our video. So ideally our students are going to watch this first and then answer some questions about it. Like, what is a variable? And now this is just a default multiple choice question. If we click the arrow, we have a lot of different options to choose from. We could choose short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkboxes, drop down, file upload, grid stuff. Who knows what that's about? Have some fun with that. We should probably spell the variable correctly and add a question mark, because after all, we are the teacher setting a good example. And we can go ahead and add in some answer options. So a box, a thing, a variable, stores values, and I don't know what a variable is. So we have our question. From here, if we have questions that are all yes, no, maybe, then maybe we want to click duplicate question down at the bottom. That way all that we have to do for a new question is just change the question. And then those are the answers. You can also delete a question if you don't like it, remove answer choices, add images to your answer choices, or even add an image to your title. Down at the bottom of each question, we want to make sure that it's required if it's a required answer. So that way, if students try to move forward before answering, they won't be able to. And we'll see what that looks like in a second. So let's go ahead and add a section. So that is section 1, what is a variable? And section 2 is, you know what, maybe we should do that. Bamazon. What is Bamazon? It's definitely not like any other company that we know about. So that'll be a section. We can see what a section does. And so here's our questions. When students submit responses, we can see them here. What we really want is, and we can also stop accepting responses anytime. So that's how we can close assignments. We can download responses as a CSV or a Google Sheet if we want to get more stats. But basically what we want to focus on is these settings in the top right. So here we want to collect email addresses and limit to one response. What that will do is, well, specifically the collect email addresses will, so let's just look at that. Collect email addresses, and then if you'd like to limit it to one response, it should limit to one response no matter what, because if you want them to edit after they submit, then you can check this box too, so that way they can edit it. But for the most part, you want one response per email address. That way, when you collect the email addresses and limit it to one response, you will get individual scores that you can look at each individual student's score. For presentation, if we can show a progress bar if we want. So currently we have 2 sections, and I'll go ahead and show the progress bar. So that way it'll give us progress of how many sections we've completed versus how many there are in all. That can kind of be helpful for long tests. That way they can kind of see how well they're doing, if they need to budget and manage time at all. The confirmation message, this is what will be displayed after they submit the Google form. So, you can do a simple message like, yay, woohoo, you're done. Kind of positive and uplifting. Or you could give them maybe something a little bit more useful, like a directive of, okay, you've successfully submitted it. Now go to X place to check your results or something like that. Maybe we want to say, yay, you're done, and click view scores to see how you did. So that way, 1, they know that they've completed it successfully, and 2, they have a directive, an active response of where to go next. And the last section, quizzes, this is how you can make this a quiz, which will automatically grade. So because we want them to view their scores at the end, I want to go ahead and make this a quiz and release the grade immediately after each submission. So respondents can, by default, see the missed questions, the correct answers, and the point values for each. And you can change this at any time. So click Save. And before this is done, because I just selected it as releasing the responses immediately, I now need to click each question. And now there's this answer key option. If I go back to settings, quizzes, and this isn't a quiz, maybe it's just a fun, how did you feel about class today? Or how do you feel about the chapter that we just read? Something relevant to class. Anyway, if you unselect that, this answer key option is no longer here because none of these answers are wrong. They're just simply answers that they can type in. You can also just add other, so that way a student can type in their own answer, their own other answer. So that's really good if you're trying to get feedback on something, because Google Forms, it's just a form, right? It could be for feedback. It could be for a quiz. It could be for a test. It could be, just some assignment discussion questions. It can be a lot of different things. It can be watching a video and just, having a few interactive questions after the video. That's the cool part about Google and Google Classroom and Google Forms, is there's so much flexibility of you make it what you want. So anyway, to go back to quizzes and make this a quiz, now we have that answer key option, and we can assign points and choose a correct answer. So, we have 2 questions. So this one's going to be 50 points. And what is a variable? It's clearly something that stores values, and maybe it's a box. So you can have 2 correct answers if you want to, and now I have selected which ones are correct. You can even click Add Answer Feedback. So correct answers, maybe explain why they're incorrect, or incorrect answers, explain why they're incorrect and correct answers, explain why they're correct, or whatever you want, that'll automatically happen. Click done, so that way it saves. And then for this one, I'm going to click, if you try to click it here, it won't work. You have to click answer key. Box, and this one's 100 questions. I don't know. This is a 150-point quiz. See, you're the teacher. You can do whatever you want to do. Okay, so now that all of those are completed, we can go ahead and X out of this, click post. That way it posts to our Google Classroom, and now it is here, Google Forms test. So if I click this and click on title, now that is how a student would select your video or your Google Forms, and that's the view that we have here. So it says your email address will be recorded when you submit this form. If it's not you, make sure to switch the account. So it gives them that reminder up front. This is our title card saying watch this video first, giving them a directive. And then this is saying what the video is, and they can go ahead and watch this video. Super cool company. Encode, what? Variables are like boxes? Awesome. So now we have a question. What is a variable? Well, we just said it was like boxes. I wonder, okay, so they can only click one answer. So I'm going to go ahead and click stores values. And here's that progress bar at the bottom, page 1 of 2. That's showing that we're on the first section of 2. So whenever you create sections, a section won't the first section, this is the title there. And you click next to go to the second section, it just splits it up. So that way there's less on the page. And now we have our second section. It's just Bamazon. Yeah, because that was our section title, right? Was Bamazon. Now you have this back option. So, they haven't submitted yet. They want to go back to the first thing or whatever. You can go between next and back. What is Bamazon? Well, I don't know. And now I feel pretty confident about these answers. So I submit them. And here's our end message from the presentation settings tab. Yay, you're done. Click view scores to see how you did. So that's our action statement for them. We can go ahead and click view score. And now we can see that we got 50 out of 150 points because I missed the 100-point question, which I did that on purpose. That way we could see that. But yeah, I should have made that one 100 points. But anyway, so here's the feedback, right? It says feedback, yay, for that one because you got it right. And for incorrect answers, I would probably just give feedback for incorrect answers, right? So that way you can tell them what the correct answer is and why that answer is correct, and what to look for, like thought process wise. So this is a cool way for them to get instant feedback about how they're doing instead of having to wait for teachers to come back and grade stuff. And you can always say, especially if you have short answer stuff, that this is a tentative grade and you can decide a grade later in the grade book, or you might need to grade some short answer questions. But at least they can get some feedback about what they did, which I think is really cool. And that's that. Oh no, that is not that. Last thing that we want to look at is how to look at the individual scores, right? So for us as teachers, we can go to our Google Drive and wait for it to load because technology. Here's our awesome Google Forms called Title. If it's not right up at the top, we can always search for it. And right there it is, Title. And there's the Google Forms icon, that purple box with the dots and lines. So you click that, and now we're back in the editing view, the teacher editing view. And we see that we have one response, so we can go here. And this is what we were really after, right, was this individual tab. Here we can get a cool summary of, how everyone did on each question. So it'll list everyone's email and their score and tell you if it's released or not. Go by questions and responses, how many people picked which responses. A lot of good statistics there, but to get an individual score for each person instead of that lumped thing, because down here it doesn't show you, who did what. It just says that one person collects stores value. So if 10 people took it and had these, we could see how well everyone did as a whole. That's that cool, summary thing. But we want to look at the individual score. And so to do that, click on individual, and then that drop arrow will switch between the different email addresses of the students in your student organization who submitted it. And we want to make sure, again, to go to settings, collect email addresses, and limit to one response in order to get that individual tab. And then we can see how each individual student did. The question tab just shows each question, what is a variable, the correct response for that. And that's also done by section, right? So I click this arrow, what is Bamazon? One response, which was incorrect. And you can add feedback to any of those questions if you want. But this is also an overview thing. This individual one is what we're really after. And because this is no longer active, I can go ahead and stop accepting responses. Okay, that is how you use Google Forms. Make sure we get individual responses for the students, do some cool stuff with creating different questions and sections. And in these kind of trying times when we have to do things online, I mean, technology is the future. Embrace it, right? Like, there's so much you can do. And instead of looking at, oh, I don't know how to use something, like, go out and just test it, because you can do so much. It'll enable you to do so many cool different things. Anyway, good luck, teachers, and hang in there for the start of this year, and goodbye.